I understand from you, you knew Mr. DeChico going back a few years when you'd held listings for him?
Yep.
So I take it that by the time that he became involved in 2007, he was somebody that you knew well?
Yes.
Had he been a good friend of yours going back to 1997?
Well, I'd attend dinners at his house and whatnot, yes.
Right. And then if we can look at some of the calendar entries for the mayor, let's pull up Exhibit 234. So this is a meeting, do I take it that you arranged this meeting in February of 2003?
Could be.
And sitting here today, do you think that that was a pure social occasion, or would it have been a business occasion?
Well, it doesn't say what time, 6 o'clock? I can't answer.
Right? Let's...
I wasn't doing business in terms of WCD at the time, so...
No, I understand. But could this have been a meeting to discuss his business?
It could have been.
Right. And this is a
I
meeting...
cannot say yes or no.
Right, and a meeting arranged by you with your mother to discuss
That
it?
could be, yes.
Right. So let's look at the exhibit... let's see, we got the wrong number here. Let's look at MIS 078 001 001.
It's going to be page 3 of the same.
Sorry, I apologize. Go to page 2 of that. All right, so this is one barbecue event with Tony DeChico and 16 others at Mayor's house. This was one at Mayor's Gala. This is in August 2003.
Yes.
And this is a fundraising means that your mother has, I take it, to... These things are auctioned off?
Yes, at the Mayor's Gala.
Right. And they're bought typically not by individuals, but by individuals representing a group of people?
Yes, different companies.
Right. And is this the one, because we've got a list of them that we haven't put in yet, but is this the one for which Tony DeChico and his group would have paid $20,000?
I don't remember what he paid, but...
Right. But did it tend to be in those...
It's in those figures, yes.
Right. And then if we go to page 3, so September the 9th of 2003, this one is to discuss a banquet hall project. I take it that's Mr. DeChico's project?
Yes.
And go to page 4. This is November 2003, a 2 o'clock meeting. Middle of the day, this would be a business meeting?
Quite possibly.
Right. And in this period, I assume this is to discuss Mr. DeChico's business rather than yours?
Oh, it's not mine for sure.
Right. Is it probably his?
Most likely.
All right. Go to page 5. Any recollection of this one?
I don't remember it.
Let's look at page 6. April 24th, 2004. You've requested an urgent business meeting at the Delta Meadowvale with Mr. DeChico?
Yes.
Any idea? I assume this is not your business.
It's not mine.
Do I take it that it would be his business?
Could be.
Right.
I don't remember it.
Do you remember what the urgency was?
No, I don't.
Let's go ahead to page 9. So this is going forward a year, preparation, Mayor at home in preparation for Tony DeChico barbecue, winner of Mayor's Gala. Ruth's Chris will be catering. Again, this is one that would have cost in the winning bid plus or minus $20,000.
Probably.
Right. And Mr. DeChico, or Mr. DeChico and his group have been the successful bidders.
Yes.
Right. And to be fair, there are many things that can be bid on, many auction items at these galas. And this is just one
Not
of
that many.
How many would there be?
Live auction, I think there's only 4 or 5 items.
Right, and so there are things like trips to Europe, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Is dinner at the mayor's house always the biggest selling item?
In most cases.
So it draws the highest bid of all of the things on offer?
Yes.
So there's one that I saw that you could go to France for $13,000, but to have dinner with your mother would be $25,000.
Yes.
Which one would you rather do?
France.
I'm not gonna take advantage of you that way. Now, if we look at page 13, this is one with Mr. Kupri. Oh, sorry, this is one with you and Mr. DePoci and Mr. DeChico. Again, we're getting closer to the time of the WCD transaction. Mr. DePoci ultimately did invest in WCD?
I found that out afterwards, yes.
Right, you didn't know that at the time?
No, I did not.
Right. Now, I understood from you that, not in your evidence, but in some of the interview processes, that you were keeping Mr. DeChico apprised of what you were doing with the WCD project.
Yes.
Because he was somebody who had considerable means and might invest in it ultimately?
Correct.
Right. And do you know, at this occasion, would you have been discussing the project with that grouping of people?
No.
Now, sorry, page 14, let's look at that one. So this is 2006, you and Leo Kupri. So this is a meeting in the middle of the day. Had you by this point formed the view that Mr. Kupri should be part of the company?
He was already part of the company before that.
He's already part of the company before that point, but he hadn't invested the money yet.
No.
So he's part of the company. You're meeting in the middle of the day. I assume there's a business reason for this meeting?
Could be, but it wouldn't have anything to do with WCD at that point.
Well, what would it have had to do?
Well, I can't tell you. Leo probably requested it. Could be something else he was doing.
All right, but you can't tell us one way or the other.
I can't absolutely say it wasn't, but most likely it was not.
Okay, if we go forward 11 months or almost a year, Mr. Kupri, in fact, invests $750,000.
Correct.
Right, and your mother witnesses that
Correct.
document.
A year later.
Right, and at this point, he's already involved in this company, and you're already taking steps to advance the project.
Correct.
And can I suggest to you that it may well have been a topic for discussion at this meeting?
Could have been a topic.
Could have been. Is it more likely than not that it was?
It's more likely not than it was.
More likely or not that it was a topic?
No, that it was not.
Was not a topic.
At that time, no.
All right. And why is it at that time?
Well, nothing was happening fast.
All right. Let's go ahead to page 15. So this is in the summer of 2006.
Yes.
The barbecue with Mr. Kupri. Mr. Kupri, I gather, is somebody who's also known your family for a long time?
Since 2002, yes.
Since 2002, but he's become a good friend of yours?
Yes, very good friend.
And do you socialize with your mother and Mr. Kupri?
Sometimes, yes.
Right, and going back to 2002, 2003, you would have done so as well?
Not so much in 2002 because we met in December.
Right, but going forward, 2003?
Going forward, yes.
All right. And this one, do you know whether this one is a social occasion or is it more than that?
This is for sure social.
Now, we don't want to pick on Mr. DeChico and Mr. Kupri necessarily, because I understand from your evidence this morning that your mother has these sorts of relationships with lots of developers.
Lots of developers.
And so developers will call her to try and get through planning obstacles?
Assumption being, yes. Or problems.
Problems. They'll call her to try and get put together with other people who can help them?
Correct.
And do I take it that she has a certain amount of social contact with developers, dinners and lunches and so on?
Yes.
Right.
As well as other corporations.
No, fair enough. Does she follow a practice or a policy about who pays for lunch or who pays for dinner?
If she does, I don't know what it is.
Right. Now, if we go forward to the point at which Mr. Kupri which Mr. Cook is leaving the corporation, and Mr. DeChico has joined the corporation, there is then an issue which arises over the put agreement.
Yes.
Or the call agreement, whichever you want to call it. But the idea is that Mr. Cook can require that Mr. DeChico buy him out of the company.
Yes.
And the concern, as I understand it, is that Mr. Cook could require that he be bought out at a considerable sum of money too early in the process.
I don't completely understand the agreement, but I believe it. I understand it to something to that effect, yes.
Right. So the idea is that you want Mr. Cook on board with all of his skills and expertise and connections until you've got the thing basically done. And this agreement, in some way, allowed him to get out earlier than that point.
Well, if I read the agreement, I believe it had to be close to the closing of the agreement.
Right. We don't need to pull it up, but there is a fairly complicated set of terms.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated.
Now, Mr. DeChico, at any rate, formed the view that this agreement, this put agreement, had to come to an end.
Yes.
And if we pull up Exhibit 194, this is the termination document. This is the one that was sought to have signed.
Yes.
And this one is actually signed. And so that was the end of the process. Let's look at Exhibit 272. Emilio will fax that agreement to your home today, and so on. It covers all the points. You can set up a meeting with Murray.
Okay.
Right. You knew that your mother was going to be involved in this process to try and get resolution of the issue?
Yes, because Tony trusted that she could keep the peace.
Right. Well, I was going to come to that. Let's pull up Exhibit 236. I'm going to suggest to you that it doesn't look as though Mr. DeChico was looking for your mother to play referee necessarily. Let's look at this one. Scrolling down. The message is, were you able to, or have you considered getting Murray to sign the agreement terminating the call? The sooner we get it, the better off we are. Right?
Okay.
And I take it that really what he's proposing there is that she be an emissary, that she reach out to Murray and see whether she can get Murray to sign this agreement.
I would assume by that, yes.
Right. And let's look at Exhibit 238. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I'd like to speak to you regarding Murray Cook. We received a letter from his lawyer stating we haven't the authority to do things. I suggested to Peter that it would be good if we meet tomorrow. And do you recall whether you did have a meeting on this issue about the letter from Murray Cook's lawyer?
No, I don't recall that.
Right. Now, just to put this in perspective, Murray Cook is someone who you've known your entire adult life, I take it.
Yes.
And he's known your parents, and he knows your mother going back many years.
Yes.
Right. And how does your mother, or how did your mother decide what action to take in relation to this?
Well, I don't know how she decided what she did.
Now, what do you recall of what she did in order to assist in getting this agreement signed?
I believe she had a meeting with Tony and Murray at one point, and I don't believe it was resolved.
Now, we may come to it, but ultimately you were able to send the agreement, the signed agreement back? Is that right?
I was sending it?
I think we may have to come back to this, but I thought I saw it as an attachment to one of your emails.
I don't recall that. I don't know. If you have it, show it to me.
Yeah, I'll come back to it. Now, is it your view that your mother took sides in this dispute? Did she take active steps to try and get Murray to sign the agreement?
I don't believe she took sides. She was just trying to keep the peace.